Okay, we're back with another episode of AVID19. Today, I'm going to talk about slip and slide, most prominently slip. And if you look at my source monitor, I have a little cheat sheet here. Basically, slip and slide in Media Composer are trim-related features. They're based on roller selection rather than, as I said before, a slip or slide tool like you might have in Premiere. But the concept, whether you're in Premiere or DaVinci Resolve's editing system or Avid Media Composer, it's the same principle. Now, what I have here is Jordan doing a little, I think this is Jordan. Okay, cool. He does that little thing, and we're back to our snowboarding video. Now, Jordan taps that rock with his foot, and I have a little beat of music down here in my sequence. Little cymbal crash right there. I put a marker on that cymbal crash. I'm going to go ahead and zoom out and drag the track option. I get my little icon here. You got to hold down Option, Media Composer, get this to work. And you can Command L for large, make a track larger and smaller depending on what track is selected. And you got to be careful. Source and record tracks will enlarge and reduce when you do Command L versus Command K for Klein or kitten size. Command L for large. Now, Command Option K will shrink the waveform. Command Option L will enlarge the waveform. So the cymbal crash is right in here. That spike there probably. And I want this action point to land there. Now I could come over here to red segment and highlight my arrow and drag that up. I happen to have Jordan up on track 3 as well for reference, so let's ignore that for now. I'll get my monitor on video track 2. Now I can drag over like that, and I've also put a marker here on the action point, and this is something I do all the time in, Avid or Premiere or whatever, because sometimes you get a little lost as to where you're dragging stuff, and I could painstakingly drag this, pull that over, then Option lasso to drag that out, and then Option lasso the front end, and kind of fit that back into the slot it was in, and then drag it back down, and hopefully we got that in the right spot. Okay, that kind of works, but again, too many freaking steps. So rather than doing all that, I'm going to just manipulate the clip where it is, and this is a little like scenery moving. If you're looking out the window of a train, you're going to keep the window frame the same. So the window frame is 2 seconds, 13 frames. That's my clip duration turned on there, and I just want to change the scenery a little bit. So a couple ways of getting into a slip. I could lasso get into trim mode, the front end of this clip, getting a dual roller trim, and then right-clicking and getting some options or double-clicking the rollers will get you into trimming that way. I tend to lasso, though. So if I'm back into source record mode, which I am, I'm going to option lasso from right to left around the entire segment. And as I said before, if you lasso left to right over an entire segment, I'm holding option because I got something in my way here up on track 3, and boom, I get into a segment selection. If you lasso just a cut, nothing but a cut on per track, you get into a trim, dual roller trim selection. So in this case, I want to lasso. Let's turn the segment arrow off. And I get my cursor back. Plain old Avid cursor. Doesn't do anything except move the playhead, which is what I tend to like. But I'm going to go ahead and option lasso right to left. Again, only holding option because something's in my way up on track 3. The main point is you lasso from right to left versus left to right. That's the takeaway. And immediately we'll get out of source record. Green and blue bar underneath the source record monitor goes away, and we are back to trim mode. Now, all the tools for trim mode are there. The counters are here, but we have this crazy 4-frame display. And the crazy 4-frame display is showing me the outgoing first frame of the Jordan clip, the burgundy color clip here, and the incoming first frame and the outgoing last frame. Then incoming right shot, this guy doing his little jump, and the outgoing shot over here. So that's for reference. Now, when I pull this roller to the right, I am basically trimming off frames from the front and rolling in material in the back end of the clip. Now, of course, you need to have handles in the back end, and you can see these white brackets way over here showing up. That shows me how much handle I have, so I can keep going and get to the very end of the clip. And you can see Jordan's completely down at the beginning of the shot. He's not even on the rock anymore. And at the end of the shot, he's going down the mountain somewhere in his white t-shirt. So I don't want that. I'm going to get my markers kind of where that beat is. Now, pulling left to right is interesting because when you're in Media Composer, you pull left to right and you go later in the shot, trimming off frames to the front and adding in frames to the back. So later in the action, as if you're moving a loop over a piece of film, if on a contact sheet, to use an old analog terminology. In the other applications like Premiere and Resolve, it's the opposite, as if you're holding the loop and moving the film underneath it. So I always get confused, a little bit dyslexic anyway. So anyway, I'm pulling right to left. That's where the markers come in handy. I can see that the markers were over here. Now they moved over here. The markers are where his foot hits the rock. And so I'm in trim mode. I went 20 frames forward and hit the play loop. And beautiful. So you can use pretty much the same. You can drag rollers. You can use your arrows here, left or right. And of course, you could JKL like so and like so. So all that works. I'm going to hit escape, get out of, essentially I was in trim mode. Another clip over here. This guy is coming down the banister and play. Okay, so he hits, boom, right there. I got a marker where he hits, and the music takes a little wiki or something and then kicks back in here. So I want to move that to over there. Another way to get into slip, I will just go into trim mode right here at the front of the clip and then double click the rollers. And again, the way to remember this, slip, rollers in the clip, slide, rollers outside. We'll talk about slide later. So the rollers are inside the clip as opposed to the outside the clip. This is what a slide looks like, just for reference. That's not what we're doing. We're doing slip, and I double click and I get roller in the front, roller in the back on this Jordan clip. So this is another Jordan, maybe the same dude. Anyway, I will L forward into the action, and I just moved his point where he hits the parking lot right there to there. And again, the length doesn't change. I'll hit 6. So I'm using all the same wiki. I'm using all the same keys I would use because I am essentially in, this is a variant of trim mode. It is trim mode, slipping in trim mode. Now, if I keep going forward, I can go all the way, and you can see we have him now completely in the parking lot, and he's hitting the pavement, and then he's going off and, I don't know, having a cup of coffee or whatever he's doing. So, okay, that's not what we want. So back her up, J, and J. And sometimes this blows away my little markers, which is kind of annoying. Went back a little too far. L forward. Anyway, we'll get that marker back. I'm going to hit escape. Another example of this, by the way, if you're having a hard time understanding what's going on here, just an oldie but a goodie. I've got this rafting shot where these people are horribly maimed and injured in some ancient Echo Challenge material. And this also shows something called dupe detection on video track 2. I essentially put the same shot on video track 2, but I put like 34 seconds of it. This would be as if you were looking at the original clip, and I put my monitor up there. You can see that whole track is just that shot of those poor people. Now, that's just there for reference. And so originally, this beautiful music video looks like this. This throbbing piece of, it's almost like porno music or something from the 80s. But anyway, forgetting the music, these people flip over, they die, as far as we know. That's our story. Now I'm going to option lasso and get into a slip. Again, slip, rollers in the clip. There they are. Now, if I wanted to roll back to an earlier, happier time, I'm just rolling to the left, and you can see the raft is upright, they're paddling away, and everything's fine and dandy. And you can see this is where we're accessing the media from this point in the clip, so that's what that's there for, as a reference. And now we've completely retold the story, and everything's cool and groovy. Or we could go the other direction, a direction of mystery and intrigue, where the raft is completely rolled over, and We don't know what's going on. Stay tuned. Tune in tonight for Echo Challenge. Did they survive? And I keep rolling forward. And, oh, okay, I see some heads bobbing out. I guess they're okay. So now I'm accessing media from later in the clip over here into that slot. So that's essentially what's going on with a slip. Now I tend to use slipping more than sliding, but I'll just give you an example of sliding from yet another very old clip. A beautiful trauma room scene. Now in this trauma room scene we have a doctor yellow clip, and she's going to the heart monitor.
Fred, anything else? How's her blood pressure?
BP is 90/60.
And is this the version of this I want? Yeah, her hand is not anywhere near that monitor, and we cut to that insert, the orange clip, and yeah, that's not really good continuity right there. Now, if I was to do this for real, I would have had Command Y, another track, and this heart monitor. I don't really have a Boston accent, but I have been living here so long. Anyway, this hat monitor would be up here, and I could just move it around like that. And with the segment drag, you can see I get the 4-frame display, which is kind of like what happens with a slip or slide in trim mode, but I'm not getting all the trim kind of features. Now, so I would drag that around. I would be seeing the other clip down here. So normally that's the way I would stagger that. I would just put the insert on an upper track. But in this case, we didn't do that. We have it down here. So let's do a slide. Now, a slide, rollers outside. I'm going to lasso right to left, and I get into a slip, rollers in the clip, slide, rollers outside. Double click the rollers, and now the pink rollers are outside, meaning for every frame I reduce of the master shot here, taking away a frame, I'm adding in a frame to this shot over here. And it's as if you're doing a dual roller trim with a shot in between it. In this case, the shot is the heart monitor. And, because if I'm in a dual roller trim like that, for every frame I add to this clip, I take away from that clip, and vice versa, wax on, wax off. So here I'm in a slide, and it's as if a clip is between the dual rollers. And so I want to, and here's where this interface comes in handy, because I can see where the shot is, and I can see on the very left where her hand's coming in, and I can see on the very right where she turns away. And this shot hasn't changed content, length, or anything. I'm just basically manipulating the shot to the left and the shot to the right of the heart monitor. And go ahead and hit 6. And
BP is 90/60.
oh, it's a beautiful thing.
What her temperature?
We're off to the Emmys. All right, so that is a slide. So I'm going to conclude it right there. I'm going to, hit escape. I went 32 frames to the right, hit escape to get out of trim mode. I'm back into source record. You can see my little title thing here. So the different variants on trim, slip slide. There will be a question on the final. And as always, we'll fix this in post. Oh, wait. We're in post.